Mellow greetings, everybody. My name is James. I'm from the internet, and today we are going to be talking about Texas. Now, for those who are not aware, there's currently a record cold snap happening in the middle of the United States of America that has dipped all the way down into Texas. It has left millions of people without power in sub-freezing weather. Now, as usually is the case with this sort of thing, during a natural disaster or an industrial one, the wealthy, the powerful, and the legislated are all busy getting their pointer fingers ready. So they can start playing the blame game. It's their fault, it's their fault, it's their fault. But it wasn't my fault. So I want to take a look at exactly what is going on and why it's happening, so that when everybody crawls out of the woodwork to talk shit and play the blame game, you'll know what actually happened. Here we go. Millions of people in Texas without electricity. So of course, this must somehow be the fault of the Green New Deal, a thing that hasn't even happened yet, and not the current system. You know, the one that the power outages occurred under. Oh yeah, here they are, these squeaky wheels begging for grease first out of the gate. Who do we got? It's our friend, freshman representative from the state of Colorado, Lauren Boebert. You might know her from Guns. Here's her hot take. Rolling blackouts from North Dakota to Texas have turned into lengthy power outages and freezing conditions. Biden needs to lift his oil and gas ban as we need reliable energy sources. The Green New Deal was just proven unsustainable as renewables are clearly unreliable. Oh, there it is. So apparently, when millions of people lose power in the winter, it's the fault of the hippies and their brown representatives in Congress. Noted. The socialist Democrats want wind turbines all over the USA. It's 7 degrees in Dallas right now. Turbines are frozen, and we're having rolling blackouts. Some power out for over 2 hours. The geniuses who wrote the Green New Deal can suck it. Yeah, that's right, libturds. You can suck it with your whole energy that creates less pollution. How fucking horrible of you. Obviously, in cold weather, it's green energy's fault that people have no power. Right? That's basically what we're going with. We're frozen wind farms are just a small piece of Texas's power woes. Don't point too many fingers at Texas wind turbines, because they're not the main reason broad swaths of the state have been plunged into darkness. While ice has forced some turbines to shut down, just as a brutal cold wave drives record electricity demand, that's been the least significant factor in the blackouts, according to Dan Woodfin, a senior director for the Electric Reliability Council of Texas, which operates the state's power grid. Well, I gotta say, I feel a lot better knowing that they have the word reliability in their title. I mean, everything's going to be just fine, because, you know, reliability. The main factors: frozen instruments at natural gas, coal, and even nuclear facilities, as well as limited supplies of natural gas. Quote, natural gas pressure in particular is one reason power is coming back slower than expected. We've had some issues with pretty much every kind of generating capacity in the course of this multi-day event. The blackouts, which have spread from Texas across the Great Plains, have reignited the debate about the reliability of intermittent wind and solar power as the U.S. seeks to accelerate the shift to carbon-free renewable energy. Rolling outages in California last summer were blamed in part on the retirement of gas plants as the state pursued an aggressive clean energy agenda. Hey, remember that part like 2 minutes ago where I told you people are going to start pointing their fingers at each other? And wind shutdowns accounted for less than 13% of the 30 to 35 gigawatts of total outages, according to Woodfin. That's in part because wind only comprises 25% of the state's energy mix this time of the year. Now, actually, this is smart. Currently, we don't have a super reliable, super clean form of energy that we can move to in a unified manner. And until that happens, having a diverse energy portfolio to draw energy upon from, usually a good idea. This way, if you're having issues with one of them, you can at least draw some power from others. So the fact that Texas relies on this much wind is actually a good thing. While wind can sometimes produce as much as 60% of total electricity in Texas, the resource tends to ebb in the winter, so the grid operator typically assumes that the turbines will only generate 19 to 43% of their maximum output. Even so, wind generation has actually exceeded the grid operator's daily forecast through the weekend. Solar power has been slightly below forecast. The situation raises questions about the grid's preparedness. Quote, "Grid demand is so much higher than we've really built the system for in the wintertime," said Joshua Rhodes, a research assistant at the University of Texas at Austin. So it would seem that a few dozen wind turbines frozen in single-digit weather in Texas are not the main culprit for the entire state's heating and electrical grid going offline. However, if it were, just a few things I'd like to point out. Number one is that they have wind turbines in Antarctica. I don't know, perhaps you've heard of the place. I've been led to believe kind of cold, snowy, icy, very bad conditions. It turns out their wind turbines spin all year long. I wonder what the difference is. I thought everything was bigger and better in Texas. So if these fans in Antarctica are working in minus 40-degree weather, then I would have to assume that the ones in Texas could work at negative 4,000 because Texas. Well, it turns out those turbines only work in the cold if you pay to maintain them to work in the cold. Texas could have invested in at least three things for its frozen wind turbines: water-resistant coating on the blades, more de-icing drones, and upgrades in heating packages. So it turns out that the limited amount of power that currently isn't flowing in Texas that people want to blame on wind turbines and the Green New Deal could have easily been avoided if the powers that be had spent a little more money to properly maintain and outfit the turbines that they have, which according to that last article, can supply up to 60% of the entire state's power demands. But sure, let's blame the hippies. Meanwhile, a local reporter in Houston posted pictures of what it looks like at their natural gas power plant. It would appear that everything is coated in 3 inches of ice. That's why you have no power. None of the tubing has been heat traced. None of the lines have been insulated. None of the valves are wrapped. None of the handles are freed. It is a totally seized up energy plant. And all of this could have been avoided if they winterized. But the problem is that winterizing is another word that means spending money. And because Texas has a private power grid that is operated by a consortium of all the different state power suppliers, well, yeah, we can't have any of that. We want to have as little regulation as possible, so that the market can be free, to provide healthy competition and quality service. How's that shit working out? Like many of you in Plano, my home has been without power going on 2 days now. Steve Levine, a candidate for City Council Place 2, provides an insightful explanation on why ERCOT let this happen. I urge you to push our legislators to hold ERCOT accountable for winterization. ERCOT is those energy reliability people we were talking about before. This thread comes from Steve's Facebook page. Why is the power out and what is being done about it? First, know that the city of Plano has no, quote, power to fix this. I see what you did there, Steve. This is a state-level problem. Texas has its own power grid, managed by ERCOT. This situation was expected, but not managed. Remember the great Super Bowl ice storm of 2011? Solutions were discussed, but never implemented. The culprit then, as now, is the failure to winterize power plants we depend on for peak usage electricity. With our deregulated power generation system, there is little incentive for power plant owners to winterize, given that the need, like we're having this week, only arises once every decade or so. The weather outlook is currently so bleak for the next few days, especially with power line breaking ice on the way, we can expect yet more power problems in the days ahead. After 2011's power problems, the power generators that failed were fine token amounts. They promised to get their plants properly winterized. Needless to say, the fines were less than the cost of winterization, and it never happened. How do we fix this once and for all? Let your state legislators hear from you. The Texas legislature needs to put more pressure on ERCOT to force the winterization and other steps so that we're prepared for the next time. Now, I have been led to believe by an army of libertarians that the freer the market, the more competition, the better the overall service is for everybody and the more value you get. Turns out, nobody's getting value in Texas right now because all of these energy providers combined form a consortium monopoly. And they have decided that investing in winterizing isn't worth it and that every 5 to 10 years, well, a bunch of you are going to die in the cold. Shit happens. And now I'm going to leave you with just one more angle on this story before y'all go back to being bombarded and bamboozled with bullshit by the seated representatives in power and the PR reps of all the wealthy individuals who own all of these energy companies. Electricity retailer Gritty's unusual plea to Texas customers: leave now before you get a big bill. Some retail power companies in Texas are making an unusual plea to their customers amid a deep freeze that has sent electricity prices skyrocketing. Please leave us. Power supplier Gritty told all 29,000 of its customers that they should switch to another provider as spot electricity prices soared to as high as $9,000 a megawatt hour. Gritty's customers are fully exposed to the real-time swings in wholesale power markets, so those who don't leave soon will face extraordinarily high electricity bills. Quote, we made the unprecedented decision to tell our customers, whom we worked really hard to get, that they are better off in the near term with another provider, said Michael Falquist, Chief Executive Officer of Gritty. Texas is home to the most competitive electricity market in America. Homeowners and businesses churn power providers there like credit cards. In the face of such cutthroat competition, retail providers in the region have grown accustomed to offering new customers incredibly low rates, incentives, and, at least in Gritty's case, unusual plans that allow customers to pay wholesale prices as opposed to fixed ones. A free market. The ruthless nature of the business has power traders speculating over which firms might have been caught short this week in the most dramatic run-up in spot power prices they've ever seen. Not all companies are asking customers to leave. Others are just pleading for them to cut back. Pulse Power, based in the Woodlands, is offering customers a chance to win a Tesla Model 3 or free electricity for up to a year if they reduce their power usage by 10% in the coming days. That's right. Come to us for the energy that provides you life-saving heat when it's 3 degrees outside. Maybe you'll win a Tesla. But maybe your heat will stop working, so roll the dice. However, Gritty isn't the only one out there actively encouraging its customers to leave. People were posting similar pleas on Twitter over the holiday weekend from other Texas retail power providers, offering everything from $100 rebates to waived cancellation fees as incentives to switch. Customers may not even be able to switch. Rizwan Nabi, president of energy consultancy Riz Energy in Houston, said several power providers in Texas have told him they aren't accepting new customers due to this week's volatile prices. Gee, does any of this sound familiar? Robinhood, 3 weeks ago, people wanting to buy GameStop, Robinhood and all the other trading apps just decided to put their hands in the air and go, oh, we're not going to take any new customers for the next few days, until the market becomes less volatile and all the people with all the money decide that they want to once again allow you to purchase power from them. Hector Torres, an energy trader in Texas who is a Gritty customer himself, said he tried to switch services over the long weekend but couldn't find a company willing to take him until Wednesday when the weather is forecast to turn warmer. Quote, I'll find out in the next week if I'm getting a huge bill. So there you go, everybody. There's your overview on what's actually going on in Texas and the power outages during this record cold snap. So please do me a favor. If you're down there in that area, if you're in a place where it's freezing right now and you're one of the lucky people who have power, call your neighbors, call your friends, call your loved ones. If they don't have power, put them up in your house. As usual, the wealthy and the powerful are going to leave the plebes to hang, or in this case, freeze. The onus is upon all of us to take care of each other because the people making all the money sure as shit aren't going to do it. Until next time, my name is James. I am from the internet and I'm out. Peace.